Hey guys, welcome to Hey Nurse, and in today's video we are talking all about selecting a nursing school. So let's go ahead and start this journey. Hopefully y'all, my hair is doing alright because I feel like it's living its own life, and that's okay. It's okay. I am going to get nice and comfy. I'm going to get an Indian style, baby, so we can have a little chat for today, okay? Nonetheless, welcome to Hey Nurse. I am Nurse Meg Go. Hey, here at Hey Nurse, our mission is to impact one, change many. Alright, jumping straight into the video today. In selecting a nursing school, I have some little notes on my phone, so if you see me looking down, that's why. So you want to look at how often a program accepts new students and see, does that match your life, okay? If a program only accepts students once a year or twice a year, but you know that, okay, if you do that, that's going to be a delay and you go on to school, or it's going to cause you to have a big gap in between, then maybe you want to find something else. Or you hear that, you know, it's a really long waiting list. For example, I know whenever I was trying to get into nursing school, I was at Southern University taking a few prereqs. I had already graduated from another school. I moved back home and I had a few prereqs to take for nursing school in particular, because my degree was in something else before that. I was an English major, minor in fine arts. Hey, which I feel like, you know, this is how this whole YouTube thing just comes natural.
You know, I feel like it's the connection, honey, the connection. Anyway,
I moved back home to Baton Rouge to go ahead and do those prereqs and stuff, and then just life. I had my son at the time, who was a baby and stuff, so went back home, did those prereqs, and that program was really hard to get into, and it pretty much had a waiting list already of people that had been trying to get in. They only took a small number of students and whatnot. So although like I was taking my prereqs there, yes, it was my plan to apply, but I also knew that I was going to apply to other schools, and this was something that I mentioned in my other video about how to get into nursing school. So if you want more information on that, check that video out. But you want to see when do they actually take in students and if that matches your life. I found another program that I already had the criteria for. Well, no. I think I was missing one thing. So I went ahead and applied because I wanted to put my name in the bucket. You can basically apply. Sometimes they will save your name. They may tell you no, and then they may give you a particular reason why, but they'll put your application like on hold, or, you know, do some type of flag or something, so that when you apply again, then you can kind of be at the top of that class or the top of maybe that selection group. So again, I kind of play the game. You know, you gotta, life is a game, right? But go ahead. I applied to one program, and then I think I got a letter back saying no because I had a class in progress. But then once I finished that class, I went ahead and applied again and was able to get in. That meant I wasn't waiting on the current place that I was at to allow me to get into their program, because another program let me in sooner. So again, you got to see when the programs take in, and again, when it matches your life and schedule. You want to look at the time span of the program, right? A lot of traditional RN, BSN programs are for 3 years, and that's after you've taken like prereqs outside of nursing school. So maybe like a year or two at another college, and you get those prereqs like your basic maths, English, humanities, which could be like psychology, developmental psychology, sociology, histories, all of those things. You're going to take that, and then you can apply to nursing school following that. There are some programs that do accept students straight out of high school, and then, you know, you can kind of look at the time span of that. I've seen programs that do offer straight out of high school, finish within 3 years, which I'm like, honey, let me would have been straight out of high school going to nursing school.
Whole nother ball game, baby. Whole nother ball game.
But it's okay, because there are no mistakes, and God takes everything to use it for the greater good, right? All right. So anyway, but definitely opportunities out there. If you are somebody who you're in high school and you're wondering, can I go ahead and become a nurse straight out? Yes, you can. You don't always have to do the prereqs at another program, then transfer over to nursing program. However, in a lot of programs or places where they don't have that option, that is what it is that you have to take, the prereqs at another university and then apply to nursing school. So again, you can look to see if it's a traditional program, as in the normal semesters or sessions, depending on how it's lined up, or if it's an accelerated program, and accelerated in different kind of ways, because it can be a program that's 2 years or 1 year, and that's definitely going to be accelerated. Maybe that's people who already have a degree already, or maybe already in healthcare or something, that they can do an accelerated program. Or maybe it's that you come in and you already have certain prereqs, and then depending on if a program does a full 16-week semester, or if it's an 8-week session, it just depends on the program. So, and then what you test out of. So if you don't have to take that class or course because you already took it, then boom, 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 you just move up, So it really depends on kind of the classes you took and the program that you are interested in, like the time frame you're interested in. But you definitely want to check that out getting into it, so you can gauge when you're going to be making your money as an RN, right? And of course, saving patient lives, making an impact on your community, and all the above, right? Next thing is, make sure you look at those prereqs, right, to see what's required. As I mentioned in my own journey, I met the requirements for one program but had not met the requirements for another, which would have meant I would have had to take another semester to take classes before I could even apply to somewhere else, right? All right, next up, you want to look at the NCLEX pass rate, okay? Because that is going to be a prime indicator, really, if it's a good program or not. A lot of programs did take a hit with COVID. I say a lot, some programs took a hit with COVID, but that is still going to be your indicator, because that just, it measures if the nurses that they are preparing, or student nurses they are preparing, are ready for entry-level nursing, have the knowledge content for entry-level nursing. So again, you do want to make sure you look at that. I want to say my program was 97% for NCLEX pass rate at the time. I know it was greater than 95. I want to say it was 97 at that time. So that was pretty good to me. Depending on the state that you live in, there's a certain cutoff number for the state board before like a program is put like on probation, or the school has to close and whatnot. And again, the whole point of that is to keep the public safe. So nonetheless, you want to ensure that the program does what it's supposed to do, which is, give you the information that you need to be successful. The better the numbers, the better the program. I would add on that it probably is an indicator of a true indicator of how that program goes, or kind of where that program is at. Now again, there are a lot of factors to take into programs, but when you are doing your initial search, like you can make a Excel spreadsheet or something, or whatever's convenient for you, but just like prioritizing the schools, and I kind of would make that something that I would look at as a high factor if I wanted to go to a school or not, is like the number of students that are successful in passing NCLEX on their very first try, right? Because that is the number, or that is what that number represents, right? Not on the second attempt, third attempt, and all of that, first attempt, okay? Another point, and this is if it matters to you, you might want to look at diversity. Some programs may be at a HBCU where it's going to be predominantly African American students. I know the program that I went to, I definitely was a minority. Like, I think it was it 5 of us? Out of like, a larger number of people. Maybe it was 5, definitely under 10 of us at the end. I'm like trying to go through the people. I can definitely think of like 4 of the people. Anyway, so it just depends on you. In my opinion, I will say that, and I guess it just varies by the state, but the more you work your way up to the top, sometimes the less diversity there is. And that's more so, I think, coming from an African American person. Like, I know that once I did get out onto the floor working as an ER nurse, very few other African American ER nurses worked with me. Again, I think it depends on the hospital you work at, the area you're in, and all of that. But the hospital I was at, I had some of my girls, you know, I still keep in touch with them, but it was a lot of other races there, and predominantly Caucasian.
In terms of me, I wasn't bothered. I was cool. You know, I got some of my girls on that side too, you know.
But it depends on you, like in your comfort zone, you know, if you're willing to step out into a different area or, you know, be with different people and whatnot, you may want to consider that too. And just kind of more so for like experience, ability to relate. So one thing I will say I noticed is that people who had not been placed in diverse situations had difficulty relating to other people in the hospital setting or understanding other people. And to me, it would be interesting. Sometimes I felt like I was sitting there
with some popcorn, like, you know.
But like just watching the interaction, because like you can tell like it's a clear miscommunication because person A don't necessarily understand person B thought process.
Person B don't understand person A.
And it's just a lot of kind of unnecessary confusion because they just don't understand each other. And the saddest part is sometimes, you know, people don't take the time to get to know somebody else. All right. Ask certain questions, they just kind of walk with assumptions. And I would notice that people that didn't have diversity, they had a harder time understanding other people. So lastly, I would say, are there resources there to support you? When I was in nursing school, honey, there were not per se. I mean, okay, let me back up. We did have our instructors and we had office hours. That was it. Okay, that was the extent of it. And then we also had like the little counseling line, which I did use. Okay, that was my first time using it, but let me tell you, nursing school, it bring it out you. And I actually think it was definitely beneficial. I'll just, you know, be transparent and vulnerable and share. My issue at that time was that I was feeling a lot of mom guilt when I went to nursing school. And like my son, he was like a baby, you know, barely one and stuff. So like the amount of time that I had to give to studying, like I felt like I was not, you know, there for my child how I wanted to be there. And like, so being able to have a safe person to express those feelings with, and for that person to come back and be like, no, remember that the things that you are doing, that is going to help you to care for your child later on, you know. And like I knew that, but it's like sometimes when you're so wrapped in the emotion, you forget it. So you just need like kind of that voice of reason. So anyway, that was how I use that line, and it got me through the program, baby. You want to make sure they have resources like that. You know, some programs may have like a dedicated department that does like workshops or tutoring and whatnot. I know that was like my entry into nursing education, was in that role where it was kind of like a student learning department where we didn't teach in the classroom, but we did reinforce information that was taught and do workshops and simulation and all of that fun stuff. So that was unique for that program because I hadn't heard of that anywhere else for them to have that resource. So again, you want to look at the benefits, and that's why it's good to look at a program holistically, right? I talked about like pass rate, resources, diversity, so many different things. Use all of that to kind of identify what's a good fit for you. You know what I mean? So again, all of this is food for thought. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Again, we're trying to get to 10K, baby. So make sure you send this to a friend. Make sure you tap on that like button. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.